Pixel 9 Pro, phone of the year? Maybe. It's certainly been the most impressive, I think. I mean, there's two phones that have really impressed me this year, and that is the Sony Xperia 1 Mark 6. Absolutely love that phone. And then this one came out of left field, came out of right field, came over the bleachers. It has really impressed me in a lot of ways, and it's really checked a lot of boxes that a lot of other phones can't check. And why not? Well, because where else are you going to get a pro complete flagship level phone in a 6.3-inch package? Like, it just doesn't exist in Android. I mean, you can go to iPhone and you can get the iPhone 15 Pro, the 16 Pro that's coming out. And finally, somebody in Android decided they were going to take on this form factor, because I've always loved the iPhone Pro series, the regular Pro series, because I love the size. You can do everything. You can do everything one-handed, but the trade-off was always the battery life, right? And the battery life on the iPhone 15 Pro, it was terrible for me. Maybe it's good for you. This one, I think you can get 6-7 hours screen on time. And like, my magic requirement is 6. If I can get 6 hours of screen on time, I'm good. That's a usable phone for me. And this one, I got over 6.5 hours screen on time. I did like a battery kind of combo endurance test. And the last battery test I did on it, I had the phone off the charger for over 2 days, over 50 hours. I think probably about 56 hours I had it off the charger, and I had over 6.5 hours of screen on time. So that tells me comfortably you can get 6-7 hours out of this. You can use it all day long. It should be no problem for you. I haven't had any heat issues, and the performance has been solid on it. It has just under a 5,000 milliamp battery. The Tensor G4 and Android 14 working together is a really, really good experience. So I have no heartaches there. The form factor is beautiful. This is the best made Pixel phone ever. Like, that extends also the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Whatever voodoo they did with putting these components together, the balance, the density, the evenness, the sharpness, the appeal. This phone has a lot of curb appeal. Like, you walk by and you look at it, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, it looks like the iPhone. Look, every phone looks like the iPhone this year. And that's what we're going through. The S24, rounded flat sides. Yes, the Pixel 9 Pro series, Pixel 9 series, rounded flat sides. iPhone, rounded flat sides. That's what we're doing this year. So I don't really care about that. You can tell very, very like, easily, this is not an iPhone by this giant camera module on the back and then the Google logo. Plus, here's another way you can tell it's not an iPhone. It actually has character. It has real colors. Like, this pink color is great. There's the greenish color, which I can't remember the name of that one right now, but you've got the obsidian and porcelain as well. I like the color options that you have for the Pixel 9, Pixel 9 Pro. They've done a good job with the colors. The build on it looks solid. Cameras are good. The screen is beautiful. So you've got the 6.3-inch screen, and this is one of the best screens I've ever looked at on a phone. The colors are good. They pop. It's vibrant. You've got plenty of brightness. So this phone has 3,000 nits max brightness. That's outside, super bright, sunny, sun's beating down on your phone, auto brightness that kicks in. But here's something a lot of people don't ever distinguish or talk about. They'll be like, oh, it's got 2,000 nits max brightness. Well, peak brightness. You can't actually change it and make it go that high on your own. So you take a look at the iPhone 15, even the iPhone 16 coming out, 2,000 nits max brightness. That's perfect day, with the sun beating down, auto brightness on. Their actual, what's called high max brightness, is only like just over 1,000, I think. And so whenever you manually adjust your brightness, normally it's significantly lower. The manual brightness you can turn this up to on your own is 2,000, which is the peak that the iPhone gets. So yeah, they've done some good things here. Whatever this relationship between Samsung and Google is in putting this phone together, it has been way more impressive than I expected it to be. And I think it offers a great challenge now for people who want to get something in this form factor. I'd really like to see Samsung follow along. Why? Because I love the S24 Ultra, but if you want to get the best of the best, you have to get the Ultra. Otherwise, you can get the S24, which the S24 is a fantastic phone. And I have another video coming out on that soon, because I think it's important to highlight some of these other phones. The S24, it's a fantastic phone. A lot of people sleep on it. A lot of people, and I really hate that term, but anyway, a lot of people just don't take it very seriously or think about it. Everything's always about the Pros and the Maxes and the Pro Maxes and the Ultras. And yeah, this one, it really competes well there. And then if you look at the bezels around it, they're symmetrical. We don't have one bigger, one smaller. Like, it has even bezels all the way around, and they're very minimal. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. And I think it even frames the screen nicely. they've done a good job. Like whenever it comes to the construction build quality, IPX8 or 6.8, Gorilla Glass Victus 2, and the whole shebang with this phone, I've been impressed. I was impressed with the Pro XL as I've been using it for the last couple of weeks. I was in Berlin when this one came out. It was waiting for me when I got home. I've been using it the last week. And if you were holding out waiting to get this phone, then I think that it's worth buying. I really haven't found anything with this phone that I'm like, you know what, this sucks. This is not like, no phone is perfect, right? Yeah, it only has 128 gigabytes of baseline storage, which at $1,000 for a Pro phone, it irks me. I say the same thing about the iPhone. The iPhone 16 Pro still comes with 128. That irks me. If you're getting a Pro phone and you can do all these cool things with it and your 4K and your Dolby and all these great things like HDR10, you should have 256. Because really, if you want to take advantage of the Pro level features, the Pro level recording, the raw images, the 4K 60 frames per second video, all that stuff, it takes up a significant amount of space. So when you take into fact the operating system and all those different things, you really want to have more space. So, I mean, probably buy the 256. That's what I did. I got the 256. But yeah, video's been greatly improved, and I scoffed. Like when I saw in the keynote, they're like, "Oh, hey, we have the best video ever in phones now." I'm like, I don't know. I mean, that's a really, really big claim. But then I shot quite a bit of video with it, and the audio is fantastic. Like this phone probably has the best audio, stock audio, without adding a microphone to a smartphone that I've used, especially this year. And especially on the selfie, the smoothness, the motion smoothness is so good. And then they have the speech enhancement, which you can use, which filters out a lot of the outside noise. There's a lot of smart features you can use in here. So the cameras, I think, are excellent. Basically the same cameras as last year. Not a whole lot of change there, but there are some refinements, but still, it's not perfect. So when you come to the photos, I think there's still a little blurring around in certain instances on some of the portrait shots, kind of like some fringe blurring. It needs to do a little bit better with edge detection. That's been a problem with Pixels for years. Hopefully they can nail that down with software. And there's like a hard shift between the camera lenses. So if you're using video and you're going between the zoom and the regular, it can kind of throw off your point of view and have a bit of a hard shift there, but that can be smoothed out with software as well. It's not really a problem, just something to be aware of when you're recording. But the selfie camera, I think this is the best selfie camera in a smartphone today. I've been really impressed with the selfie photos. I've been really impressed with the selfie video, and I've been really impressed with the microphone audio. So kudos to them. Great job there. You have the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner under the screen, which is great. No longer optical. Basically the same level of security and performance as what you get with Samsung. It's top notch. No more bright light underneath your finger that's going to blind you in the middle of the night. So that's good. You still have the facial recognition, which is good. Not the greatest in low light, but with decent lighting or great lighting, it's fantastic, very quick, and it works with your banking apps. That's something that doesn't, if you don't have a Pixel, a Pixel 8 or a Pixel 9, you don't get that benefit. Like if you use facial recognition with your S24 Ultra, it's not secure enough for Android to allow you to use it with your banking app. So that's one of the extra benefits you get with the Tensor chip. It's got the Titan security chip built in. It's got all those great things. Now the Tensor chip, I'm going to tell you that unless you're like a top tier gamer, you're not going to care. The gaming performance is fine. You can still play AAA titles. You can still play Call of Duty, you can still play PUBG, you can still play Genshin Impact, all that stuff. Like they run fine. Is it going to run 100% identical to a Snapdragon 8 Generation 3 in your S24 series phone? No, it's not. Why? Because it's not as powerful and it's not optimized for it. Now, you've got over a 3.1 gigahertz chip in here. That's great. But a lot of these games are either at this point in time or it just takes a longer while or they don't get optimized as well. The Snapdragon 8 Generation 3 is the gold standard flagship chip for the year for Android. All these developers, they optimize their chipsets and their graphics for that chip, not for the Google Tensor G4. So with raw horsepower and what they do, like they run fine. Like you're gonna be able to play these games, but it's funny to me because people get bent out of shape like, oh, that's the thing they hang their hat on. Benchmarks in gaming. Nobody cares about benchmarks. It doesn't really matter in the real world. You still get a great chip here, over three gigahertz, and it still can game perfectly fine. But people are like, oh, well, the benchmarks in the gaming. people don't even play that stuff. I get more people for this little tiny 3 to 4% of the market share complain about that. Then we have 100, 200 million people using an iPhone with the 60 hertz screen that say, oh, it doesn't matter. Look, judge for yourself. If you want to get a gaming phone, you're probably not buying a Pixel anyway. But great security, great software support, 7 years of operating system updates, 7 years of security patches, still waiting on Android 15. Yes, we've got the AI stuff. The AI stuff has been talked about ad nauseum, whatever. You got the Pixel Studio, make your images, summarize your web pages, get smart reply suggestions, um, magic magic eraser and magic editor, all that stuff. There's so many things you can do. And then of course you've got the Gemini Advance as well. So you got Gemini Advance, which you get a year of free. So after a year, you got to pay 20 bucks for that. Is it worth it? That's going to be a decision for you to make. And unfortunately, I feel like that's probably where we're going to be headed. I know Apple said their Apple Intelligence is going to be free, but for how long, right? I think that's probably the baseline Apple Intelligence. They're going to find a way to monetize it. With the S24 series, oh, the AI is free till the end of 2025. What happens then? Probably going to charge for it. And then these guys right here up front, yeah, you get it free for a year, but then you got to pay for it. So we'll see exactly how much value those bring. At this point in time, I really don't think that any of these AI services are worth $20 a month. So we'll have to see what the market does and how it pushes people towards that. And that's also a consideration too, because I mean, this is supposed to be the smartest smartphone, and it can handle up to 45 tokens per second, which is industry leading when it comes to smartphones. And that's something that's important for a lot of your AI stuff when it comes to generating and creating AI, especially whenever it's word related products. But anyway, so overall, the phone's fantastic. I mean, the charging, yes, it's still slow. It's still about 30 watts. Um, but here's the thing, the phone lasts all day. Like I said, I got 6.5 hours screen on time over 2.5 days. You're going to be able to get 6, 7 hours screen on time out of this. The cell phone connection has been solid. It's solid. It's quick. Android 14 has been smooth as butter. And this has been probably the best Android experience I've ever had on a phone. And whatever they did, they tightened it up, the tolerances, and they smoothed out the animations, and they made this, it's been a really, really enjoyable experience. And it offers an experience in Android that you don't get most other places, because if you want to get the flagship Android experience, it's always, oh, you got to get the Max, you got to get the Ultra, you got to get all those things. So I'm really happy that Google came in and did this, because having a phone this size, I think it checks off a box in the marketplace. It's been sorely missed in Android for a long time. And I feel like using this side by side, even with my iPhone, I think that this is the better software experience than the iPhone. Of course, you get the better customization, you get all that cool stuff. And I can't wait to see what we get out of this moving forward. But I wanted to go ahead and get this video out. I've already made a video showing off the video capabilities of the 9 Pro XL. It's the exact same. You can check that out. I did a vlog at the Berlin Zoo, so you can see that stuff. And I took a lot of photos in my 9 Pro XL video. But I wanted to get this one to y'all. I thought it was important and timely. One, they've got the sales going on right now. You can still get up to $760 trade-in, but that's only if you trade in a Pixel Fold, right? So I think $699 is the max. And I traded in my Pixel 8 Pro to get a Pixel 9, and I don't really have any qualms about that. But of course, I got to buy all these phones so I can cover them for y'all. So I have the 9 Pro, the 9 Pro XL, and the 9. And I got to say, the experience that I've had with this phone has been very refreshing, and I really, really have enjoyed using it as much as I anticipated I would, and if not more in some ways, because the Tensor 4, the software experience, and this form factor has been really, really refreshing. And it's great too, because the one-handed use is so much nicer. It's not like, oh, hey, let me shift the phone all the way over in my hand so I can reach the other side. It's easier to type on. It's easier for one-handed use. Haptics are fantastic. The haptics on this are really enjoyable to type on. So yeah, I think it's great. I mean, it's not a perfect phone by any means. I mean, yeah, I think that if you look at what's on the paper, if you really care about benchmarks, people still like to complain about that. But for daily usage, flagship performance, and basically 99% of everything under the sun other than like AAA extreme gaming, this is going to be a great phone. And it also has the SOS messaging over satellite now for SOS. Now, you can't like text anybody, but that's finally something they brought first in Android in the United States. It's not even available on Samsung yet. So you've got that going for you. All the smart features, all that great stuff. So yeah, I think they've done a good job. I think it's worth $999. I think this phone, when you stand it up against the S24 series, when you stand it up against the iPhone 15, even the 16 series coming out, looking at the price point, the features, build quality, everything that's gone into this package, Samsung, the components, I know they've got the, people have qualms about that, and I know we're moving to TSMC next year, but if you want to get a new Pixel phone, or if you want to get a new flagship phone, you want to try something different, and I think it's worth taking a look at. I don't think that you necessarily need to be like, oh, I'm waiting for the TSMC chip next year. Everything I've experienced with this one so far, I think with the Tensor 4, I think they nailed it, and it's only going to get better, I think, once we get Android 15 in here in the next couple of weeks as we get into October. So, interesting stuff. Great competitive device. They've done a lot of good things here. Yes, we could still have faster storage. As far as I know, it's UFS 3.1, at least on the 128. I still haven't gotten confirmation if it's UFS 4 on the higher models. Yeah, it'd be nice if it was UFS 4 across the board. It'd be nice if it had 256 storage. It'd be nice if it had faster charging. But at the end of the day, those are like small little things, and you can say the same thing about iPhone in most of those areas. So when people complain about that, I'm like, well, iPhone has slower charging. I mean, so who cares? At the end of the day, the battery lasts all day, great flagship performance, amazing camera setup, beautiful screen, and a brilliant form factor. So that's all I got. If you have any questions, comments, gripes, concerns, whatevers, I know you will. Somebody will. Go to the comment section. We can talk about that. If you enjoyed the video, if you found this helpful, I know this is not visually appealing, but there's only so much I can do, especially making daily videos. I've already fully covered super in-depth the 9 Pro XL. This is like a smaller version follow-up, and yeah, it's so good I don't even mind that it's pink. And I actually like the colors. And this color, this rose quartz that they came out with, I think is brilliant. It looks really, really good. It reminds me of Strawberry Nesquik. Anyway, so that's all I got. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully this gave you the information that you were looking for if you were looking to get one. But just rest assured, processor, way better. Heat, no issues there. The signal, top notch. And I forgot to mention this, but it does have the vapor chamber in here now, which helps offset and mitigate that potential heat that you might have had anyway. It goes the extra mile for sure. So that's all I got. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.